The tension between Israel and the people of Edom stretches back to a single family line. According to Genesis chapter 36, verse 1, "Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom." The descendants of Esau settled southeast of the Dead Sea. The barren, rocky terrain and tight valleys of Edom mirrored the harsh, defensive posture its people maintained toward their neighbors. What began as a dispute between brothers escalated over centuries into a bitter territorial and political struggle. Raids and skirmishes became a permanent fixture along their shared borders. Over time, this deeply ingrained enmity defined the Idumean cultural identity. They stopped viewing the Israelites as estranged relatives and instead watched for any moment of weakness to strike. That moment arrived in 586 BC. When the Babylonian Empire laid siege to Jerusalem, the Idumeans allied with the invaders to help crush the city. As Obadiah chapter 1 verse 12 records, they rejoiced at Judah's downfall. Their involvement extended beyond mere observation. They actively hunted down refugees fleeing the violence. Obadiah chapter 1 verse 14 states that they stood at the crossroads to capture fleeing Israelites and deliver the survivors to the enemy. This specific betrayal triggered severe prophetic warnings. Isaiah chapter 21 verse 11 records a prophecy concerning Edom, asking, "Watchmen, what of the night?" a symbol of impending divine judgment approaching their borders. Turning against their own relatives to survive alongside the Babylonians secured their immediate safety, but it crossed a profound theological boundary. The betrayal brought down a permanent divine sentence that would lay dormant for centuries. In the late 2nd century BC, the political dynamics inverted. The Hasmonean ruler John Hyrcanus conquered Idumea around 125 BC and forced the local population to convert to Judaism. As the Hasmonean dynasty weakened, a powerful Idumean named Antipater and his son Herod capitalized on internal civil wars. When Roman forces arrived in 63 BC, the pair positioned themselves as Rome's most trusted agents, stripping authority away from the traditional rulers. This vector map illustrates the result of their political maneuvering. By 40 BC, the Roman Senate formally declared Herod the King of the Jews, installing a new Herodian dynasty and expanding its territorial borders under the protection of Roman imperial power. To maintain his fragile hold on power, Herod the Great eliminated any remaining rivals and launched massive construction projects along the coast to appease his Roman backers. By abandoning their ancestral alliances and weaving themselves entirely into the Roman political machine, the descendants of Esau successfully took control over the descendants of Jacob. Following the death of Herod the Great in 4 BC, Rome partitioned his kingdom among his descendants. The northern territories fell under the jurisdiction of his son, Herod Antipas. The region governed by Antipas included these fertile agricultural valleys and the northern shoreline leading down toward the Sea of Galilee. This exact jurisdiction placed Antipas directly in the path of the emerging Christian movement. As Luke chapter 3 verse 1 records, Herod Antipas was the tetrarch of Galilee during the ministry of Jesus. This political geography culminated in a direct encounter. Following the arrest of Jesus, the Roman governor Pilate recognized the jurisdictional boundaries. According to Luke chapter 23 verse 7, Pilate sent him directly to Herod Antipas for questioning. The trial of the Messiah took place under the legal authority of an Idumean ruler. This marked the absolute zenith of Edom's worldly influence, standing just decades before a collapse they would not survive. The Idumean grip on power collapsed in 66 AD. In a catastrophic political miscalculation, they abandoned their Roman protectors and allied with Jerusalem zealots to resist imperial control. Roughly 20,000 Idumean soldiers marched into Jerusalem. Once inside the walls, they turned on the local population, murdering Jewish leaders and plunging the city into a state of violent anarchy that crippled its ability to organize a defense. The Roman response was systematic. They completely encircled Jerusalem, setting up massive military encampments and deploying heavy siege engines against the walls to ensure no one could escape. Inside the walls, the trapped Idumeans were crushed under the overwhelming Roman assault they had helped provoke. Their final opportunistic alliance sealed their fate. They were now locked inside and slaughtered in the exact same city they had joyfully helped the Babylonians destroy centuries earlier. In 70 AD, the Roman general Titus successfully breached the city and ordered its total destruction. The surviving Idumeans were either executed or completely absorbed into other populations, permanently ending their historical identity. The Roman legions dismantled the Jewish revolt, but from a theological perspective, their victory served as the instrument of divine judgment against Edom. This historical erasure fulfilled a specific ancient warning. Isaiah chapter 63 verse 1 asks, "Who is this that cometh from Edom, with dyed garments from Bozrah? This that is glorious in his apparel, traveling in the greatness of his strength. I that speak in righteousness, mighty to save." While Isaiah 53 describes a suffering servant, this imagery depicts a divine warrior Messiah executing absolute justice. Edom, representing all entrenched enemies of God, faces a final, inescapable reckoning. A nation that spent centuries shifting allegiances for temporary power was ultimately judged, erased from the historical record, and used to fulfill the relentless certainty of ancient biblical prophecy. This concludes our overview.